Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you all are having a great day so far. So today on my desk, I have a laptop that has seen better days. This is an IBM Thinkpad A21m. As we can see from the front screen, the bezel is literally falling apart in my hands and it is not functional. When I turn on the computer and if I connect it to VGA output, it does post. However, the screen obviously doesn't work. Thankfully, I do have a replacement screen for this laptop. So in this video, we are going to go ahead and hopefully get this working once again. So before we start removing screws and all of the other fun stuff, I think the first thing that we're going to do is turn the laptop over and go ahead and remove the battery, which is down here. You simply just slide this out, the little tab here, and I'm going to place that over to the side. After we have removed the battery, we can see on the sides of the laptop here, there are some screw holes for this outer bezel over here on the left, as well as on the right. I'm going to try not to hit the camera here. I guess it was pretty convenient that the bezel broke in this particular way, since we also have access to the screws on the bottom here. So what I'm going to do is remove the screws around the bezel first, and then I will proceed to removing these two screws as well. So here are the 4 screws that came from the outside of the frame. Looks like they are all Phillips head, and thankfully they're all the same size as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put those over to the side, and then we can proceed. So it looks like during my disassembly, the computer was imminently just ready to self-destruct, it looks like, since I just opened the laptop and it just came fumbling down. There are several missing screws along the sides as well, so I think what I'm going to go ahead and do here is disconnect the ribbon cable from the screen, and then start removing this hinge, and we'll get to that step as soon as I deal with this. So the ribbon cable to the left here is behind a small piece of tape. If you very gently move it from side to side, it should just come right out like that. And it looks like there's a screw over here by the hinge as well. This looks to be just a regular Phillips head screw, so we can go ahead and try to remove that with the proper screwdriver. And unfortunately, it looks like this screw has been stripped to high heaven. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that, and then we will proceed. So as a quick tip, you might be aware of this, but you can also, in a pinch, use needle nose pliers to just sort of shimmy it along very, very slowly. And yeah, it's becoming a little bit looser. So, and now the stripped screw is out. Ideally, we will be able to harvest these parts from the other computer that I have to replace it. So this ribbon cable is connected from the back of the LCD over to the motherboard through this port right here. That's sort of hard to see, but if I zoom in a little bit more, maybe we could take a closer look. Might be a little bit blurry. But I am not sure if this ribbon cable is bad necessarily, so I'm going to install the screen first and then go ahead and check that. But one thing that I am going to do moving forward is this frame, this bezel is completely toast, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that and replace it with the other one that I have. And there's also a pair of wires here that connects directly to the LCD. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a little snip, and then I'll strip those and connect them, solder them together, and see if that works. And if it doesn't, then of course I would disassemble this, take that ribbon cable out, and then replace it with the other ribbon cable that I have. So now that we removed the screen, let's go ahead and remove this frame. It looks like we have one more Phillips head screw there, so let's zip that out, and then we can move the frame. And it looks like there is one more hurdle that we have to get past. So there's a hinge right here, and for this to slide out, it doesn't really look like it's going to. So what I'm going to try is remove all of this backing metal plate and then just slide it out from there. Let's see if that works. It's held in by a little adhesive, so some peeling might be necessary. And it's also pretty sharp, so if you're doing something similar, be advised. Well, it looks like with enough applied force, that pipe is going to slide out of the hinge anyway. And I was using quite a large amount of force here. The adhesive behind this plate is pretty strong, so yeah, just make sure you don't rip the ribbon cable. That would be a bad idea. Yeah, made in Mexico. Thanks, IBM. So with the screen now removed from that computer, let's go ahead and take the screen from the donor. This laptop is not working, but it is a similar replacement. So we're going to be doing something similar to what we have been doing before. We need to remove the embedded screws on each side to go ahead and remove the panel from this board. So we're going to go ahead and zip those out and then move on. Those little black stickers on the side could be removed with a pair of tweezers, as I've done here. And once you do that, the screw holes will be exposed. Those stickers were not on the other laptop because someone has been inside there and has done a lot of things. So yeah, moving on. Now that those screws have been removed, we are going to proceed by very gently prying the frame around this bezel and removing it. You do want to be gentle with this because this is a very soft plastic that has become brittle over quite a long period of time. So let's just sort of ease it off. To make this a little bit easier, you can use a plastic tool, but I've been using the edge of this sim eject tool just to very gently pry around the edges and make those plastic clips release without completely breaking. So yeah, it's a little bit of a trial and error, but as long as you're gently working along the side, you shouldn't have too much damage. And there are also a couple screws down toward the bottom that will need to be removed as well. We're going to remove those little plastic stickers and then remove those Phillips head screws, same as we've done before. So if we look more closely towards the edge here, what I had to do while I was moving this bottom piece is very gently pry outwards while sliding along here and removing that adhesive that is connecting that bottom portion of the frame. And if all goes well, then hopefully you will have minimal damage as you're removing the frame. You do want to be as careful as you possibly can though, if you are desiring to reuse the frame, since this plastic is very, very brittle. So take your time, and for any cracks or scrapes, you always have super glue for that. But if you have a total failure, like it explodes or something, then that's not ideal. So all I can say is just be careful, take it slow. So now that the screen has been freed, let's hold the screen here, because if we bend it forward now, it's going to fall forward. And if we take a look here on the inside without letting the screen fall, we can see that it is connected to the ribbon cable here. So we should be able to just move it from side to side until it releases. And then sort of try to pry the ribbon cable away from a little bit of adhesive that is stuck to the back here. Just like that. And from there, the screen should be able to gently be placed forward. And then we can hopefully move on. So now the screen is only connected to this wire. So I'm going to take some snips, cut it at length so that I can recover if I need to. And now this new screen, or this different screen, this functional one, hopefully, should be able to be used. and now we can focus on removing the rest of the frame. So there is a singular Phillips head screw here that I'm going to remove so I could remove this module. And the ribbon cable that is attached to the top of the screen sort of slides into place. So we should just be able to gently pull it towards us and it would slide right out, just like that. We're going to go ahead and remove the hinges for the screen from the frame and then just pull them forward so that we have more freedom with how we can manipulate the frame here. And the frame is just flexible enough to be able to have some clearance for these plastic edges, move it backwards, and then slide it out from the post as I've done here. So now we have the frame, which is ready to be used and put into the other laptop. So now we have the base of the old laptop down here, and we are going to be sliding this pole into the hinge over here. And this metal is flexible, but you do want to be careful with bending it too much because then you may have some problems. So the idea here is to bend it just enough so that it goes into the hinge, and then to bend it back so that it is sitting flush with the sides and oriented in that perpendicular fashion. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can do that here. And it looks like it was successful. So now that it is slotted into place, let's go ahead and move these hinges and back into their plastic receptacles on the sides just by simply lifting them and then slotting them into place. All right, so it's a couple hours later, and as it turns out, I did have to disassemble it because the computer I was working with had the 14-inch screen, and the one I'm replacing it with is a 15-inch. So I had to switch the hinges over. You're probably not going to have to do this, but since I'm using two different laptops, that's what I had to do. So let's go ahead and move on. Yeah, just going to do a little bit of soldering over here since this is definitely not going to be a tutorial. I realize that this is just a simple connector that just goes in. So I'm going to go ahead and solder this back and wrap it up with some electrical tape. Yeah, this is fun. Put in a little bit of rosin flux. Over here, I have the new monitor's cables. Put down some rosin flux as well. Get the soldering iron. Up to operating temperature. All right. Now let's see. I'm just gonna tin these little contacts. So, tin those leads. Let's go ahead and tin these as well. Yep. All right. And there it is. I insulated with some electrical tape, but it's connected now and soldered together. So just goes without saying, don't cut this. It's not necessary, and it actually plugs in pretty easily this way. So we should be able to go ahead and make that work. And it plugs in pretty easily, so we should be able to go ahead and make that work. Just like that. So I did want to plug this in just enough to see if the screen turns on and starts up. I have it connected to the ribbon cable in the back, and I have the keyboard in place, the battery in place, and the hard drive is back in. I'm going to plug it into mains now, since I think the battery is dead. To be right here. Okay. And if I lift the screen, we can see that there's a blinking light back here. So let's go ahead and sort of balance this. And let's see what happens if we get an image on the screen. Turn it on. Interesting. All right, so I replaced the ribbon cable in the back with the one that the 15-inch laptop came with. So now with the hinge replaced and with the ribbon cable replaced, let's go ahead and turn it on and see if we get an image. And it looks like we have one. It's a little bit yellow, but at least it's serviceable for now. It looks to be working. So let's go ahead and get this on the brackets and then the frame installed on it and all the screws back and yada yada. Wow, okay, let's go. And now that we have the brackets aligned back into their plastic posts along the frame, we can begin putting the screen back into place. However, before we do that, let's make sure to put this module back where it needs to be and placing that screw back. Also making sure that the screws on the bottom of these two hinges on the right and on the left are there as well. So for the screen to be held in place, if you recall the screws that we removed from the outside, those are going to go directly inward and into screw holes that are on the screen itself along the edge. So we're going to go ahead and install those. All right, so I had to replace the hinge again, since over here at the top, there was only one hole, but at the top of this hinge, there were multiple holes for this screen. So the hinge has been replaced and I put in the first and the second screws here on the right. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the other side of the laptop. And now the other side is complete as well. So on this particular screen, there are two holes. However, on the frame, there's only one. So we only put the screw in one in the frame. And in the other side, we just left it as it is, but that doesn't really affect the functionality. It still moves back and forth as it should. And now that the screen is back in its hinges, we can go ahead and proceed with assembling the rest of it. And I'm not going to go through the full assembly here. This video is only for showing how to replace the screen, I suppose. At least my troubles with it. And maybe I'll do that in another video. Who knows? Maybe a full teardown, even though it's pretty annoying on this computer. But in any case, let's go ahead and move on. I did want to quickly mention here that to put the frame back, it sort of comes out and then it slots upward into place and then it clips down gently. So if we work our fingers around the sides, then we should be able to make it clip into place like so. All right, so it's several minutes later. And now that the camera stopped shaking, now that this is fully assembled, we can go ahead and open the screen, take a look at our work, and let's go ahead and start it up and see what it looks like. And there it is, and there you have it. Let's, can I even zoom out any more than this? Probably not. Well, yeah, that's it. Everything is back together the way it should be. I think at some point I would like to, PC noises. Anyway, I think at some point I would like to do a full teardown of this particular laptop, only because there are some sort of silly decisions that they made in the past on how they secured this top frame to the interior. But I don't know, I'll think about that. In any case, now we have the screen. It is working perfectly. I'm going to work on some of the setup stuff later though. But essentially, that's it for today's video. We went ahead and replaced the broken screen with one from our replacement laptop. We ran into some difficulties because this is a 15-inch screen and it's right now on a 14-inch body. So when it closes, we can see that's going to look a little bit awkward. But I really do not care. And I'm just going to keep it the way it is, honestly. It's surprising that we can even do this and make it work this way, but yeah, and there you have it. It works perfectly. So I hope this video was helpful. Even though it wasn't really a tutorial video, it's just me sort of goofing around with an old laptop. If you have any questions, I could try to answer them. Not sure how helpful I would be, but yeah, thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Take care.